Hello, welcome again to FAIRtax Power Radio. I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Ron Malero.
And we are the FAIRtax Guys. Hey, we got it right side up this time.
That's good.
And I'll tell you what, video streaming is a wonderful technology, but this is a whole lot easier when we're both here at the same place at the same time. So hopefully we can get that. We got a bunch of good stuff to go through again here on FAIRtax Power Radio. And we're going to elaborate a little bit on what we started last week. But first, a big announcement.
Oh, yeah.
When we are back on live in 2 weeks,
Yep.
we will have a very special guest with us here on FAIRtax Power Radio, Steve Hayes, who is the president of Americans for Fair Taxation. That is the national grassroots group in favor of the fair tax. So he is the president of that organization. He will be here live in studio with us to take your phone calls about the fair tax, and that is going to be good.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. I don't think there's anybody in the entire country more knowledgeable about tax reform and the fair tax. Steve has been working on the idea of a consumption tax since before there was the fair tax. The fair tax people started in '95. He's been working on it since the early '90s. And but we'll let him tell you about that when he gets here in a couple of weeks. That would be August 29th for our live show.
All right, and you see the number down there on the bottom of the screen. We will be taking some live calls here shortly at 888-787-8023. But again, we would like to urge folks who are watching us live. It is just after 11:30 a.m. on Wednesday morning, August the 15th, 2018. Eastern time, of course. So if you're there, you can give us a call here. We'll talk to you a bit later. Of course, our Facebook commentary is ready to go. Randy, I see he is online, ready to take that. Yep. But if you are watching us on Facebook, please share this. And, of course, let's remind our friends about excluded.tv. That is a video streaming platform on which you will find a lot of the content that is excluded from your big social media platforms. And you can catch Ward Scott. He's got a program on to 8 to 9 in the morning, again, Eastern Time a.m. John Martin follows him 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern here on Excluded TV. We certainly urge you to turn those guys in. They're pretty good.
Yep. And they're on Monday through Friday. And of course, we're on every Wednesday at 11:30 Eastern.
Okay, we got a couple of questions here already from Jared Sandler's one of them. Thank you for watching, Jared. Could the new W-4 be any more complicated to figure out? Completely unnecessary. I've not seen a W-4. I'm not sure what that is. We'll have to look at that.
That's actually, I've got a news report that we're gonna concentrate on that.
Okay, Jared, we'll get to that here in a second.
Yep.
Sandy Goodell saying, "Hi again, guys. I'm having trouble talking to some naysayers who insist that the prebate is not equitable. How can I answer that succinctly?" I would say that's very simple. The prebate is a tax refund giving you back money that was collected from you that you don't owe.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what your income is. It doesn't matter, it does matter what your household size is, because that does determine your poverty level. But it's equitable because you're getting back your own money that is collected from you that you don't owe. Hopefully that'll help you.
I wonder what the equitable part has me a little confused. The basis of the prebate is with the figures that we get from Health and Human Services, which is a federal agency. They publish poverty levels every year, poverty figures, and it's based on that. So, as we've done before, the prebate schedule for 2018 shows that a family of 4, mom and dad and 2 kids, they would get a monthly prebate of $631. Is that? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's $631.
That's written awfully close to the paper. You have a hard time reading that, don't you?
Yeah, it's very small, and these are actually my computer glasses. I got way too many glasses.
Yeah, and Randy's noting you simply refer to the prebate as a way to put a standard deduction into the fair tax. That works really well.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty equitable. We have been criticized saying, it's just another entitlement program. No, it's not.
Well, you're entitled not to pay taxes on your spending up to the poverty level. That's how that works.
Exactly.
But when you think of entitlement, that means the government is giving you money that they have collected from somebody else. That is not the way the prebate works, because the money you get back in the prebate is your own money that was collected from you that you don't owe. And there are some people trying to demagogue the fair tax and saying that the prebate is an entitlement. But it's not getting you back anybody else's money. It's getting back your own money. That's as simple as you can make that.
Hi, guys, from Minnesota, Dave.
Okay. And So but we've got an update on that nasty negative ad that we talked about last week here on FAIRtax Power Radio, where one of the Republican candidates for governor here in the state of Florida is just blasting his opponent for supporting the fair tax and saying, my opponent supports this stupid idea that's going to add 23% to the cost of everything you buy. The only thing that ad gets right is the 23% rate.
Yeah. Yeah.
As you mentioned, there's a lot of leaving out in that ad. And the candidate has doubled down on it, saying that everything in that ad is true. Well, not really, because it's not going to add 23% cost of everything else. But PolitiFact has said, no way, that is a largely false ad. Mm-hmm. But he has doubled down on this. So hopefully
he did during the debate last week.
So by the next time we're on live here on FAIRtax Power Radio, hopefully we can report that he has lost. But we'll find out about that.
We'll see. But the point is, during the debate, all right, I watched the debate the next day on like Facebook or something like that, and they were talking about the issue of environmentalists, and each candidate was saying how they're going to help save the environment, and then Mr. Putnam veered into his 30-second ad. He said, we've created quite a stir in the 30-second ad. He said, but everything is true, and he went, and when he said that, people in the audience started booing him. When you're a candidate and people are booing it, and I'm not encouraging people to be rude, but he kind of stepped in it. Here in Florida and elsewhere around the country, FAIRtax volunteers take their work very seriously. We are all volunteers, I'll remind you again, but we work very hard getting the information out, and then when you get an ad like that counters and really harms all the work you've been doing, people don't take that lightly. Mm-hmm. So we're encouraging people, do what you can to get the word out about the fair tax, because when people are informed, then candidates can't demagogue an issue, all right? The fair tax has lots of research behind it. I think Mr. Putnam is getting some very bad advice on attacking the fair tax. And what we do as volunteers is do our best to get the word out about the fair tax to help the citizenry become more educated about the fair tax. And when you're more educated, you can't fall victim to a demagogue.
Yes, we would urge people in other parts of the country that if you see dishonest ads running against fair tax candidates in your area of the country, regardless of what office it's for, could be the U.S. House, this one in Florida is for the governorship. But if you see any dishonest ads, let us know about it. Put a link in our Facebook page or send it to us at the FAIRtaxGuys@gmail.com. We want to feature as many of these negative ads as we can, and I bet you, no doubt about it, Ron, we will see a common theme running through all of these things. None of them will be actually representing the fair tax fairly. You cannot represent it fairly and argue against it successfully. They twist it into something that it's not. It is not an additional 23% tax on top of everything. It's a replacement for the income tax. We got a question, Senator Vissers, any new legislators signed on to support the fair tax? We just got a new co-sponsor not long ago, did we?
Yeah, it was like a week or two ago.
Let's see, I bet Randy's already answered it. Let me scroll down and see. I bet Randy's already answered it.
All right. In fact, I'll tell you how you can get informed, get an alert. You go to congress.gov. We've talked about this website very often. Congress.gov, and you type in the search bar, quote, Internal Revenue Code, close quote. And that will bring up all the current proposals to change the tax code. But you can also tell it to alert you when there's changes to H.R. 25 and S18. And when you have a new co-sponsor or something happens, it will send you an email. And so you click on there. And I apologize, I can't remember. We did get a new co-sponsor.
Randy is on this already. A new one, co-sponsor Congressman Davidson from Ohio, and says 2 new ones are coming. So Randy's on the spot helping us out here on our comment section.
Excellent.
Patrick Swearge is asking, is Bort still affiliated with this? Kinda. He's getting more back into the game than he used to be.
Well, he got involved with this thing between Putnam and DeSantis, and he was not happy. But like Bob said, he's semi-retired, and but he's still very passionate about the fair tax.
Brian Grover, isn't the only true fair tax is only paying tax when you buy, not on your income? That is correct. The fair tax is a consumption tax.
Yeah.
You pay it anonymously at the cash register when you buy things. The government has no clue who you are. The government has no clue how much money you make, where you make it. It's none of their doggone business with a fair tax, and that's how that works. So, Brian, I hope you're on board with us here.
Yep, privacy is a big issue with the FAIRtax. Right now with the income tax, we don't have any privacy. We have to let the government know not only what we earned, but in some cases what we spend, for deductible expenses. We're handing over way too much information to a government that just doesn't need to know that. That privacy is returned with the FAIRtax.
Amen. Randy's noting that in the general election, should Ron DeSantis, the FAIRtax supporter, win his primary here for governor, that whoever runs against him in the general election is liable to take the same tack. So we will see this. But again, if you see a dishonest ad attacking a FAIRtax supporter, let us know about it. We will feature that ad here on FAIRtax Power Radio.
Yeah.
And go back after it one by one. Again, I'll encourage you to give us a call at 888-787-8023, 888-787-8023. That is a toll-free number. We'll be glad to talk to you here in just a second. And keep that on file, because in 2 weeks, you can use that same number to talk to Steve Hayes.
Yeah, yeah. That's going to be good.
You've got a whole pile of research here we need to get into here on FAIRtax Power Radio. While I was away in Alabama, up in Roll Tide territory, you were busily working. You found something about this new tax form that's going to be coming out here shortly.
I think something on my mic is.
Yeah, I hear. I'm
not sure what's happening there.
I hear a little rumbling, but we're okay. Yeah. We'll get there.
Anyways, we're going to, along with responding to the comments on Facebook and responding to any calls, we're going to take a look at some of these news articles. Like this one, the headline, this is from Market Watch, and it's from July 2nd of this year. Meet the smaller, but not necessarily easier, IRS 1040 income tax form. Remember all the hoopla about this tax plan was going to be so much better, we're going to report your taxes on a postcard? Well, it has to be one of those really big postcards.
What else do you have to attach to that postcard? That is the question.
Yeah, the 1040, which most taxpayers use to file their income taxes, has been significantly condensed. But will it be a lot easier for taxpayers and preparers? Not necessarily, they're saying. The new form decreases the number of lines to 23 from 79. That's good. All right, 23 lines is better than 79. But
the one that says, how much did you make? Add 10%, send it in.
Yeah, that would be the easiest. The Form 1040 itself may be shorter, but it comes with 6 additional forms taxpayers may need to attach in certain situations, such as if they're paying getting state tax refunds, or have to declare capital gains or unemployment compensation. The Treasury Department estimates that 65% of filers will use 1040 plus one additional form, or schedule as they're called. The IRS will take public feedback on the new, smaller form and finalize it over the summer. Oh, good. Let's hope that they get that straightened out before the beginning of the year.
Let's tell them, why don't you get rid of that form and everything that goes with it. If you would never like to file a tax return again, support the
as an individual,
support corporates as well. Nobody would, no individual.
Corporates will have a small amount of work to verify, that they bought something for the business and something like that. But their paperwork is going to be reduced.
They wouldn't have to fill out a tax return.
No,
showing all that stuff. So if you would like to be totally free from ever filling out a tax return again, you might be a FAIRtax.
That's right. And remember, when you reduce business costs by 80 or 90%, all the hassle, you reduce costs, businesses can do more business and they can hire more people. That's a good thing.
That it is.
Yep. Here's another one. Student debt forgiveness. Student debt forgiveness is a wonderful boon until the IRS comes calling. Yeah. And this was June 24th of this year. It says students seeking relief on their college and graduate school debt could be sitting on a hidden tax bomb, billions of dollars at one time. What it is they have a student loan. They're paying on it for a while, and then for one reason or another, part of their loan is forgiven. The amount that's forgiven, the IRS considers that income, and they want it reported, and they want it taxed. So
that is not money you get in your pocket. That is money that you do not have to pay, and then they'll get you on that one. Jared Sandler real quickly says the new W-4 has a calculator to help you figure out how much to take out of your paycheck. So I completed that the same as last year. It's telling me to give the government an extra $200 a week. What a scam! They must be trying to get everybody a $10,000 refund. Remember, that's about $200 a week for a $10,000 refund. Somebody said he preferred the income tax to the FAIRtax because he got that big refund.
Wait a minute.
That just means that much money is being taken away from you on a weekly basis. Oh,
$200 more per week?
That's what it says.
Wow. Something's wrong with this.
And Randy's noting there are up to 9 schedules with that new giant postcard if you happen to do a little side work, if you own a home, if you donate to charity, etc. So that little postcard form, isn't that just like the Congress critters? We reduced the income tax form to the size of a postcard, and then they don't tell you, well, we make you add all this other stuff to it.
Well, that reminds me of that quote we had from Steve.
Which is?
Where is that? Remember that?
Oh, I did. What'd you do with it? Or did I put
Anyways,
that over?
You look for that.
Wait a minute. I think I've got that. Oh, yes. This is from Steve Hayes, who again will be with us in 2 weeks here live on FAIRtax Power Radio. He puts out a chairman's report. It's a thing every Friday that you can subscribe to. And he says, I love this. He says, their idea of tax reform is to make a lot of noise, rearrange a few sentences, change some of the tax rates, and tell people that they have done a really great service to America, while all the time they have ensured that during the process they've been able to obtain generous contributions from lobbyists and have also ensured that in the back rooms they can force lobbyists to continue to make donations and to hire retired members of Congress for their staffs at high prices, because if they don't, your loophole may disappear.
Yeah. You know, when they get on camera, they tell the American people what a fine job they've done. But like it says, in the back rooms, then they're dealing with the lobbyists. They're actually extorting more contributions from these people. Jeez.
Again, real quick, we'd like to hear from you out there. 888-787-8023 is our phone number. If you are watching live, it is 11:47 a.m. Eastern Time on August 15th. If you are watching us live, again, we'd love to hear from you. If you're listening to one of the audio only or catching us after the fact, sorry, be back next in a couple of weeks. We can talk to you live here on FAIRtax Power Radio. We'd love to do that.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Oh, well, this is so easy, but let's bust on the IRS for a couple minutes.
Oh, good. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah. This one is from July 26th, so this is only a couple of weeks old. The IRS has rehired hundreds of fired employees. Congress should step in. Yeah, Congress should step in and get rid of the income tax.
Did Lois Lerner unretire?
For one of the most punitive agencies in the federal government, the IRS sure is forgiving of its own employees. Representative Kristi Noem, Republican in South Dakota, has proposed a bill that would prevent the IRS from rehiring employees fired for misconduct or poor performance. And I'm not going to go through all this, but they list some of the people who have been rehired and why they were fired. It's not a pretty picture. I mean, when you get people that were for discipline problems, for doing 270 hours, the equivalent of 33 work days, and did nothing, and there's all kinds of physically threatening co-workers, for the reasons that they were fired, why is the IRS rehiring them? What, you can't find honest people to work for the IRS? What's going on here?
Oh, mercy. Quick note, Jim Branson to say, DirecTV must not like us. We keep losing your signal. May I suggest you subscribe to excluded.tv.
There you go. Excluded.com. Excluded.tv.
Yep. There we go.
Yep. It cost you $30 a year, but the signal was very good.
And again, there's some other really good shows on there. Ward Scott from 8 to 9 and John Martin from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday on Excluded TV. Check them out.
Yep. And you can get, not only can you see it on your TV, like if you got an Apple TV or a Roku or something like that, you can get it for the app for your smartphones and your tablets too. So you can watch it anywhere, anytime. Okay, the IRS is cracking down on, this is from CNBC just actually about last week, August 10th. The IRS is cracking down on this small business tax break, what it means for you. I'm just going to read the subtitles. The Treasury and the IRS have proposed new rules to address some of the ambiguity around the 20 new Well, the new 20% qualified business income deduction.
You think there's some ambiguity in this 70,000 pages worth of tax code? I'm shocked.
Yes.
I'd have never thought that would ever happen.
The crack and pack, a strategy where business splits itself in two in order to qualify, seems to be dead. Oh, well, that's good, and other ways to reduce taxable income and qualify for deductions are still in play. I mean, does this sound like a new, simpler tax code, that was created last December when the president signed the Jobs and
Tax Cut and Jobs Act?
Yeah, Tax Cut and Jobs Act. That was it. Tax Cut and Jobs Act. All right. It sounds to me like there's still a lot of ambiguity in the tax code. So, can we call that real tax reform?
Yeah. How can that possibly be?
Oh boy.
Well, I'll have to ask Jade about that.
Yeah. We'll have yes, our webinar that used to be monthly is going to be quarterly now, and that will be back next month in September. When we get closer, we'll let you know about it.
And our friend Jade Wiley, our CPA friend from Colorado, is going to be hosting that.
If there's anybody that understands the tax code, that's the man.
And if we're lucky, we'll get him here on FAIRtax Power Radio, too, before too much longer.
That would be good. Yep, that would be good.
Proceed.
So, okay. IRS adds more business tax compliance efforts. Compliance efforts means the IRS is going after businesses to make sure they comply with certain rules. Because apparently there's a lot of rules involved with the tax code.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the division rolled out its first 13 compliance campaigns in January of last year, followed by another 11 campaigns in November, 5 in March of this year, and 6 more campaigns in May. These are campaigns in which IRS people are going after businesses to make sure they're complying with all these crazy rules. So,
how much does it cost to do that?
Oh, yeah, and who pays for it?
You do.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, so.
We have a caller? Oh, Randy is going to call in the last 5 minutes, which is going to be right close. Thank you, Mr. Producer. We hear his voices in our ear.
Yeah.
All right, so, we'll have him on here shortly.
I made a note to myself. Oh, this is, however, the tax reform law in Congress passed last December could put a halt to some of these tax schemes or tax compliance efforts. The division is trying to determine which of the existing campaigns, if any, could be affected as a result of the new tax code.
How about we get rid of compliance costs almost altogether by going to a consumption tax, i.e. the fair tax? Then you won't have this problem.
I put a note to myself, one hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing, and that seems to be,
yes.
All right, this one. Tax reform isn't done.
Correct.
Oh, well. I don't know. That's not what we heard from our friends in Congress. Okay.
Oh.
So, when it comes to reforming the federal tax code, there's still more work to be done. Yep, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, enacted last December, made several significant changes to the federal income tax.
Like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's about it. Yep. However, the TCJA also created a number of open questions about future federal tax code, the future of the federal tax code. For instance, in 2021 and 2022, several provisions are scheduled to take effect which would raise taxes on business investment in the United States. Then in 2025, nearly all the individual tax changes go away because they only had like an 8-year shelf life or something like that. As a result, there's still more work to be done. Yeah, there's more work to be done, but we can suggest a really simple procedure here, or a simple change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get rid of it and go with the fair tax. Just why beat your head against the wall? People in Congress and Mr. President, why keep beating your head against the wall with this tax code when there is a very simple answer out there that has tons of research behind it, and it's called the fair tax.
Yeah, we need everybody out there watching to get onto their Congress critters this upcoming election cycle. They will be more available than usual trying to get out and encourage people to come vote for them. But go to their town halls, call. Sometimes you'll get these teletown halls. You get a telephone call, and it'll be a big conference call that people will be on there. Get onto those things if you can. And if they are not a FAIRtax supporter, ask them why they love the IRS so much. What is so much better about the income tax? And you will not get a good answer, I guarantee you. Be respectful, but hold their feet to the fire.
Yep. We got about 5 minutes left. Is Randy on the phone?
We do have a caller, though. All right. Hello, you're on FAIRtax Power Radio. Thank you for calling.
Yes, sir. I would like to ask about President Trump's stance on the FAIRtax. During the election, I kept trying to inquire as to what his official statement was concerning the FAIRtax, and I've really never seen how it's been presented to him and what his feelings are about the FAIRtax.
He has never mentioned the FAIRtax specifically that I know of, but I do know that he is surrounded with people, Mike Pence being at the top of the list of people who are familiar with the FAIRtax. When Mike Pence was in Congress, he was a co-sponsor of the FAIRtax. So I am sure that he knows about it. Mike Huckabee has the presidency here, another big FAIRtax supporter.
Yeah, and his Sarah Huckabee Sanders, all right, that's Mike Huckabee's daughter.
And,
all right. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, I think Mike Pompeo, I'm pretty sure when he was in Congress, he was a FAIRtax co-sponsor. So we know, as Bob said, we know that President Trump is surrounded by FAIRtax people. We've got to believe he's keenly aware of it. But I think for political reasons, he's not going to talk about it maybe until...
Although he is talking about a phase 2 of tax reform. We'll hopefully see what that is. And again, the president is just like anybody else. If you can go to whitehouse.gov and leave comments for him, I would suggest you do that. Get as many people as you can to go to whitehouse.gov and leave a message for him, urging him to support the FAIRtax.
Whitehouse.gov/contact.
Yes.
Yeah, whitehouse.gov/contact. Yep. That you can.
Okay. Well, thanks very much.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks for calling in.
All right, appreciate that. Randy is saying also urge people to write letters to the editor of your newspaper, call your local talk show. If you can get on a national talk show, I mean, people like Mark Levin and Sean Hannity, they have pretty tight rules as to who they let on, and if you're not talking about the subject they want to talk about at the moment, you probably won't get through. But if you can get on a local talk show, they have a little more leeway in to let you talk about what you want to. And letters to the editor are always a good idea. Again, going to the candidates' town halls is always a good idea. And, hold their feet to the fire. If they are FAIRtax supporters and co-sponsors, thank them for that. If not, ask them why not and what they love about the income tax and the IRS.
That's right. And let me reiterate about calling into your local talk shows. We have a couple of guys here in Florida that are calling the stations and trying to get speaking engagements because we have a list of speakers here in Florida. Anybody can do that anywhere in the country. Call your local talk shows, get on there and talk about the FAIRtax, and tell them how much you encourage it.
Okay, we've got less than 2 minutes to go here. Hit your mention list real quick. We want folks to go to Popvox, Popvox. Yep. Express your support for the FAIRtax and possibly some opposition to the other. We haven't looked. It's probably close to 1,500 tax reform proposals now. We'll have to look that up here shortly. But do that, and we appreciate it.
Yep, Popvox is a really good site. Yep. If you want information about the FAIRtax, FAIRtax.org. There's all kinds of information. For instance, a couple of shows ago, we talked about how the FAIRtax does not hurt seniors. You go to FAIRtax. Up at the top, you click the menu item for resources, go down to demographics, and there's the paper right there. You can look at it. You can download it. Lots of information on FAIRtax.org.
Yeah, and if you're tired of the major social media platforms censoring your content, there's a new member.fairtax.org. That's a Facebook light gathering for FAIRtax supporters. And that's going to wrap up this edition of FAIRtax Power Radio. Thank you so much for calling, or be with us again in a couple of weeks to see Steve Hayes. Until then, I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Ron Molero.
Reminding you once again that the FAIRtax is America's big solution, and once you understand it,
you'll demand it.
Oh, these income tax forms are way too complicated. There's got to be a better way. Who are you?
We're the FAIRtax Guys.
We've got a big solution for you.
What's that?
It's the FAIRtax. Completely eliminates the federal income tax system as we know it. No more withholding, no more payroll taxes, no more tax returns ever, no more IRS. All gone. And I guarantee you, once you understand it,
you'll demand it.
Yeah.
We got to get paid.